do you say I am?" Jesus asks the disciples in our reading for today, and Peter gives the right answer. He says, "You're the Messiah, the one true King of Kings that we've been waiting for all this time." But Jesus subverts all of their expectations about what it means for him to be the Messiah. They probably have in mind that Jesus is going to start some sort of revolt, be a fiery prophet going up against the elite in Jerusalem, or oust the Romans. What they certainly don't expect is for him to say, as the Messiah, "I'm going to go to Jerusalem, yes, face the Sanhedrin and Rome, yes, but to be killed on a cross and raised on the third day." That's nothing like what they had in mind. And what's more, he says, "I want you to join me. I want you to take up your own crosses, deny yourselves, and follow me." What if Jesus were asking you that question? Who do you say I am? The truth is that if we say that Jesus is the Messiah, that he is the King of Kings, the one true King over the whole world, then that means that the phony kings that we're tempted to put our trust in, well, they're nothing at all. They are not trustworthy. They don't have any real power. They can't lead us to the good life, the true life that Jesus can. And when you think about taking up your cross and following Jesus, for the disciples, that was a very literal reality. All but one of them will be martyred. But for us, thank goodness, we're blessed. This is mostly a metaphorical reality. And you could call taking up your cross and following Jesus surrender, knocking down your phony kings that you're tempted to put your trust in, yielding to God's will instead of your own will, giving up your ego, giving up control. Taking up our cross is surrender. What might you need to surrender? If Jesus is the King of Kings, then nothing else can be. What might you need to surrender so that you can put your trust fully in him? I work with our young adults here at HPUMC, and oftentimes when we talk about the reality of life as a disciple of Jesus and the challenges of discipleship, I find myself saying to them, it feels hard because it is hard. I find it really dignifying that Jesus says it's taking up our cross, because there is a part of surrender that feels a little bit like death. Death to our ego, death to our expectations, death to our kingdoms. It feels hard because it is hard. It is hard to lay those things down. But what I don't want us to lose sight of is the fact that there is a cost to following Jesus. Matthew has told us this much over and over again throughout his gospel. It will cost you something to follow Jesus, but it will cost you far more if you choose not to. The cost of non-discipleship, the cost of the unspiritual life, is far higher. This is one of my favorite books of all time, Practicing the Way by John Mark Comer. If you haven't read it, I highly, highly recommend that you read it. And he talks about the cost of non-discipleship, and I just want to read you a little bit of what he says. He says, ironically, in our attempts to avoid the difficult path of discipleship, taking up our cross, we make our life harder, not easier. In our pursuit of happiness over obedience, we make our life less and less happy. In our resistance to Jesus' yoke, we end up shouldering the crushing burden of our own unsatisfied desires. This paradox, which is at the very heart of the gospel itself, is best summarized by Jesus' statement of reality. which is from our reading today. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it. This, of course, is what pretty much everybody does. They spend their time, money, and best energies trying to save, protect, guard, enrich, and control their lives in an attempt to be happy and at peace. And what happens? They are rarely happy or at peace. There is a cost to following Jesus. There is a reason he calls it taking up your cross. It feels hard because it is hard. And you are courageous if you choose to surrender. But the cost of non-discipleship is far higher. You're missing out on life with God, which is what we were made for, what our souls yearn for. You're missing out on the life of the Trinity and the love and the joy and peace. You're missing out on adoption into this family of the church. You're missing out on healing from sin and the guilt and shame and wounding that comes with it. There is a cost to following Jesus, but the cost of non-discipleship is far higher. And if you ask me, if you ask Matthew, if you ask the other disciples who were martyred, he is far more than worth what he asks for. Because you might lose your life, you might have to surrender, you might have to lay down your preferences, your ego, your control, but you will gain far more than you ever gave up. He is far more than worth what he asks for. It's like that treasure buried in a field. You might have to sell everything you have to gain it, but it is the treasure of a lifetime, riches beyond measure. We gain far more than we ever give up. So think about what you need to surrender and don't be surprised if it's hard. But remember, friends, this is the way to true, eternal, abundant, and everlasting life. We gain far more than we ever give up. Take care.